Representative of France.
Merci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wish to thank the Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Khalid for his briefing. And I closely followed what was said by the Observer State of Palestine and the Permanent Representative of Israel. The priority in the Near East is to obtain a ceasefire, one that is permanent and immediate in Gaza. The immediate and unconditional release of all hostages that have been illegally detained by Hamas, and the unfettered at-scale delivery of humanitarian aid. France continues to work tirelessly to achieve that goal, and we welcome the efforts made by its partners in that connection. France firmly condemns the expansion of the Israeli offensive to the centre of Gaza. Their evacuation orders have prompted the displacement of tens of thousands of people in Deir el-Balah and have hampered the work of manifold UN agencies. UN agencies that France once again would like to state that we support and trust them. That begins with UNRWA and the BCHH. The people, their personnel pay a disproportionate price for this tragedy. This new operation is worsening the humanitarian situation at an ever quicker pace. That situation is marked by malnutrition and the risk of famine. This situation is the result of the blockade imposed by Israel. France condemns in the very strongest terms Israeli fire on Palestinians in Gaza as they attempt to obtain humanitarian aid. This fire is thought to have killed over 1,000 people in recent months, or more according to the UN. Any attempts to bring about the forced displacement of Gaza's people, be these open or covert, are illegal and unacceptable. In the West Bank and in East Jerusalem, settlement activity must stop. It is a breach of international law. France staunchly opposes the resumption of the E1 settlement project. This project must not see the light of day. It is a violation of international law. It threats the prospect of the two-state solution. We must build an alternative to war in order to meet the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinians of having a state and to allow the Israelis and the Palestinians to live in peace and in security. The gravity of the situation in the Middle East must not distract the Council from what is happening in Lebanon, in Syria, and the Red Sea. In Lebanon, in spite of the manifold obstacles, we must continue our efforts to comprehensively implement Resolution 1701. That text has become all the more relevant following the ceasefire agreement of 26th of November 2024. The restoration of the Lebanese state's authority across its territory depends on implementing that resolution. They must retain the monopoly over the use of force across the full extent of Lebanese territory. To achieve that goal, renewing UNIFIL's mandate is vital if we are to support efforts taken in this connection on the part of Lebanese Authority and the LAF. In Syria, the ceasefire obtained last Saturday thanks to the US mediation efforts must be upheld. Humanitarian aid must be delivered in an unfettered fashion to Sueda, and civilians that wish to do so must be able to be evacuated in absolute safety. We call upon Israel to refrain from any and all unilateral actions likely to sow instability in Syria. The goal for this council must be to ensure that Syria is able to achieve an inclusive transition, to restore civic peace and recover its economy. The reconfiguration of the UN's presence in Syria must make it possible to support those goals. This is also the rationale behind France's efforts in support of the Syrian transitional authorities. In Yemen and the Red Sea, as in the rest of the region, the Houthis must put an end once and for all to their destabilizing actions in the Middle East. France calls for the resumption of the inter-Yemeni peace process under the aegis of the UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg, who France fully supports. These efforts must allow us to fully implement the political, security and economic roadmap. Mr. President, a ceasefire agreement in Gaza could allow the Middle East to write a new chapter with the resumption of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. France is doing all it can to achieve that goal. With that in mind, we will co-chair alongside Saudi Arabia a high-level conference on the 28th and 29th of July. This conference aims to ensure that the two-state solution can reach fruition through concrete steps. The conference also aims to spark anew a broad dynamic in favor of a political solution which meets the legitimate security concerns of Israel and which ultimately guarantees the contiguity and viability of the Palestinian state. The conference will strive to foster the recognition of Palestine, the normalization of its relations with Israel, and regional integration, as well as the reform of Palestinian governance and the disarmament of Hamas. We call upon all member states to participate at that conference at the highest possible level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Representative of France. I would now give the floor to Representative of Panama.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We thank His Excellency